Welcome to the JAMODI podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders, so let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is JAMODI, just a matter of doing it. Coaches, the JAMODI podcast is powered by Shoot 360. The future of basketball has arrived in Dallas-Fort Worth. Shoot 360 combines the latest sports technology with the fundamentals of basketball skill development. The result is a one-of-a-kind video game-like basketball program designed to improve your shooting, dribbling, and passing. Visit shoot360dfw.com to learn more and register for your free 1-hour workout evaluation. Shoot 360, the future of basketball is here.
You nailed it. Like, momentum is a real thing. And there are a few huge plays, like charges to me create momentum. Multiple threes in a row create it. Dunk, obviously. But I agree with you. Multiple efforts on the offensive glass. Man, you feel that energy rising on one side and then it's demoralizing on the other. I totally get that. What are some things that you like to do with your guys to build confidence in them? We already talked about confidence that we need to have as coaches, especially when, we're coming off of some of those tough years that we all have, or you're building something like you've done. You've got to continue to be talking to those guys and building them up. What are some things you do?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, my second year at Murray State we weren't good, but like we had some good players and we had some like positive momentum in the program. And one of the things, like when I was evaluating like our team, how we played after the season, just going back and watching film, I was like, felt like we got a lot of good looks and like just weren't going down. So I felt confident in what we were running, that we could get open looks, and then to give the guys confidence to make those, I felt like we just had to be in the gym with our guys. And then at junior college, it's easy. There's not much regulation at JUCO. So I'd have guys in there a lot. Then you go to Division II, we have, care restrictions and some other things to where had to get a little creative on how to build confidence with the guys. I think that you got to be in there with them as much as you can. Like right now we get 8 hours, 4 hours in the weight room or conditioning and then 4 hours on the court. I'm around, if it's only 8 hours in the week, I'm going to be in the weight room with them, having fun, motivating. And then on the court, those 4 hours, I kind of broke it down. We'll do shooting groups in the mornings where it's groups of 2 or 3 and it's not much fluff. It's making shots. We have goals to where we're trying to go 20 or 30 from a spot as a group of 3, 25, 35. You increase it in difficulty as the year goes on and as you get to make more shots. And I like to rebound for them, running around, hopefully not running around too much. It's easier to just get it out of the net, but just rebounding for them, have a couple passers and just get as many shots up as we can. And I think that they see that if you're willing to invest the time in them and just the boring stuff, that you'll get. That's how you build relationships with them. It's some of us. So we have 5 returning scholarship guys, 9 new guys. So to build relationships with those new guys, it's coach is here. He's invested with me. He's chasing around rebounds. He's celebrating when we make a spot. I feel like that shows that A, you care, and B, that you want to get in better. And it's going to help you win games. I try to, at junior college, I like to say that we were going to make more shots before our first game than anybody else in the country. I'm going to rebound more misses, rebound more makes. Probably hard for me to say that here with some of the restrictions we have, but I think we're in there as much as possible without breaking any rules.
No, but that's a really good point. I think so many coaches, when we're talking with each other, one of maybe the complaints or gripes or wishes that we have is that we'd have more guys in the gym. I just wish they wanted it more or loved it more. Well, we got to ask ourselves a couple questions are we opening it? Are we giving them opportunities? And then if we are, how invested are we in that time? I'm guilty of bringing my computer into open gym and getting on it and getting work done. And maybe I could do a better job of when I ask them to be there. I'm obviously opening the gym, but in the off season or in open gyms, I can't really train them. But man, I could have conversations. I could get more touches. I could see how I could watch them train and see what the ups or downs are. Maybe get a feel of where their confidence is in that moment. I think that's a really good point, Coach.
Yeah, and I think college coaches can be guilty of this. I was guilty of it at times. I talked to somebody who worked for Rick Barnes at Tennessee, and he said college coaches, like, you got to prepare practice plans. I don't have to teach a class. My job is to coach basketball, make these guys better people in the classroom, all that stuff. Like, I have a lot of duties, don't get me wrong, but like, there's coaches who will just sit in there and, like, if you're browsing ESPN or like just doing BS on the computer, like fake work is what Rick Barnes calls it. And this is hearsay, so I don't know if this is a direct quote from him, but I believe in it. Like, there's fake work and then there's real work, and like, real work is getting your basketball players better and like try to do as much real work as possible. And then when the season comes along, like, I mean, we have to prepare scouting reports. We have to do a lot of, like, I'm involved in a ton of the film work stuff here, just with our staffing and stuff like that. So like, I mean, I got a lot of real work to do too on the computer, but you're going to get way more on your return on your investment, investing in the guys' time than you are, in my opinion, doing fake work.
Yeah, fake work. I think a great goal for every coach is to limit the amount of fake work that you have, so that you don't compromise in other areas, like the time that you need to spend at home, right? Like, you don't stay up at the office, work longer hours, and compromise at home when you really could do less but accomplish way more. I think we're all guilty of that. We like to be up at the office. If you have assistants that are full time and want to stay up there with you, you can just start. That time can go by, but man, are we really maximizing the time we have?
Yeah, I think that's, like, I'm not a patient person, so being as efficient as possible, like, it's definitely high on my list.
Yeah. So in kind of preparing for this too, with your notes, you've said that the question is, how do you handle defeat with your team? You said you have a lot of experience in losing, so you feel like you could talk about that. Well, like you said, when you take tough jobs though, and you're turning programs around, that you might experience that. You haven't experienced that much, or at least it hasn't been that long. You've been able to turn these places around pretty quick that you've gone. But how in the past have you handled defeat with your team?
I think that, like, and the question you asked, I think you can frame it a couple different ways. Like, directly after a game, I think is what, like, my mind went to initially. And, I've gone back and forth on how to handle a loss. And I mean, I don't handle them great ever, but, I think the more you can be brief and, like, I don't know, I think there's like a saying, it's like the laws of threes. These are three things we needed to be better at. I know I always revert back to our game plan as if, did we execute our game plan correctly? And like, just, trying to be as brief as possible, and just, they're emotional too. Like, you gotta really truly believe that none of your people in your program want to lose. Nobody wants to lose. So just, giving them some time to think about it. And like, I got to think about it, watch film, and then really evaluate and see what we got to get to the next day. Is kind of, I'll watch film that night, won't sleep much after a loss, and then just, I'm a big solutions based person. Like, I'm not going to go in there and complain like we didn't hedge correctly, or we didn't have good transition defense. Like, I'm just going to throw those wide, open ended statements out there. Like, okay, we didn't do this. We have to do A, B, and C to correct it. Like, very solution oriented. So I feel like that's the best way to fix issues or fix problems, or try to.
That's so hard to do right after a game, to not just let that word vomit come out that based on things you think you saw. I mean, Coach Drew said it best. He's like, he tells them that we're going to watch the film and we'll have a plan to improve tomorrow, because what he said, what he thought that he saw a lot of times, it's different when you watch the film. And so, I mean,
Yeah.
but if you go off of those just reactions that you have, in that moment, and you're wrong, you can't take that moment back. And you could maybe try to apologize. Hey guys, last night, I know I said this, but after I watched, we're actually okay in that area. The damage has been done for about 12 hours in between when you say,
Yeah, that's all they're thinking
when
about.
you're working with them. Yeah.
Yeah, you can, and if you do that too much, you can lose some credibility. Like, does he really believe this, or is he going to change his mind tomorrow? Like, it can snowball on you.
I think I've tried to think about in the past, what would a worry be from a coach of not talking to them right after, of not expressing how frustrated we are. Because I think a thought could be, I want them to know how badly that I care. I want to see how badly they want to win. Like, they need to feel this. Like, maybe I was wondering, maybe some coaches feel that way. But then I thought to myself, if you're unsure of how badly they want to win or lose in that moment after the game. If you don't know your team at that point, I think you've got to rewind the clock and go back to how you practice. Are you practicing in a competitive environment that is creating winners and losers, and you're getting to see who wants to win and who doesn't, how competitive a team you have and how like you don't. If you're waiting to find out after a loss or guessing after that, man, I think that's a scary place to be.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like one of my, emphasis of the day, Coach Weber always started every practice with an emphasis or a quote. Is like, I think mine today is going to be like, games aren't won and lost on November 8th and 9th. They're won and lost right now in practice and the habits we're instilling and what we're doing. Like, you don't be mad after we lose on game night. Like, it's because it's what we did, the weeks and months prior. Like, so it definitely, I'll bring that up a lot.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.